and welcome to another episode of Paint with Heart. And I know I call them episodes, you can call them lessons or whatever, however you want to refer to them as. We're going to be doing one gingerbread lane today, which is the third ornament in our series of Paint with Heart 2017 Christmas Ornament Club collection. So before we get going, I would love for you to introduce my bestie at my LA satellite office, Melissa Reyes. And here she is.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Reyes. Yes, I am in the sunny Southern California studio for Paint with Heart, and I'm happy to welcome you here today and let you know that today the theme for our One Gingerbread Lane lesson is grace. So here is the card from my affirmation card deck, and the theme is grace. Let that awe-inspiring sense of spirit fill you. Isn't that great for the holidays? You know, the sense of grace and letting the spirit of grace and friendship and the holiday spirit fill you. I'm filled with excitement for the holidays, and I really think about it as that of grace as being like that feeling of goodness combined with that awe. And that is kind of how that warmth of ginger and gingerbread is for me too. So I have my pumpkin spice latte here. So I'm kind of looking forward to that smell and sense, all the senses of gingerbread that I know that sweetness is going to come through in this project. So show us how we're going to do it, Cindy.
Cool. I will do that. Here I have my gingerbreads, and what they are just wood cutouts. And I just base coated these. The first coat was the Camel Plus multi-purpose sealer. So trying to kill two birds with one stone. Then I sanded them down and I added another fresh coat of Camel, no sealer. And that should be pretty cool. You shouldn't have to sand that down. Now I'm going to start doing some little texture work. And we can work on both of them at the same time for this step. What we're going to do is take, if you have a deerfoot brush on hand, I'm going to pick up some light buttermilk and pounce it out on the surface. Kind of get all the hairs covered with that paint. And gently in the center, start from the center and work your way out. And always start with a light touch first and then build up as you expand that paint. You spin that paint down, you need to put a little bit more pressure. So I'm going to go all around, a little heavier in the center and get lighter as you go on the outside. Now we also have some gingerbread here. So I'm going to stick some of that in there. Just up the center. There's a little bit here. And if you want to put a little bit around the hole here, you can. Same with this one. This one here, you have a section of the roof and the center. So we can put a little bit. I'm going to use just the edge of my brush to pounce some of that in. I know it's hard to see because it's white. And then I'm going to put some in the center. And a little bit in the steps. And then over here, I'm going to put some in the center of that key. Okay. We're going to work on the house. So I'm going to transfer on the pattern. And by how to do that is you put the pattern on like this, line it up, hold it down, and place graphite between the tracing paper and the pattern. So this is where you realize you do not need to know how to draw a straight line. That you can do this because I've already drawn it for you. So you just trace it on after. You don't need to know how to draw a straight line. So pretty much it's already done for you. Now, because I can see where my lines are, if they're a little off, just erase them. I'm going to do some shading, and the shading is going to be done first off with honey brown. And there's many ways to what they call float color, which means, and this is all to add dimension to your piece, to make it look three-dimensional when it's a one-dimensional piece. So I'm going to first off take some water, and I'm going to pre-wet my house, meaning I'm just painting water on there. I don't know if you can see the shine, but it glistens. So I'm just painting water on there, but not so much that it puddles off. On the same brush, I'm going to go in and pick up on the corner of my brush some paint. It doesn't go across the whole brush, it only goes across the corner of the brush. And then tap it out on my surface. Now I'm going to go against this little round area on both sides. And I'm going to go up. Now this is going to be a candy cane, so I don't need to do that area, but I am going to go up into that peak and then back down the other side, and I'm going to stop flat against that candy cane area. The paint's up and the water is down, and it goes up like this. The clean edge is down. Now I'm flipping my brush over, putting the paint down and the clean part of the brush up, and I'm going to go on either side of the door, only to that candy cane. While that's drying, I'm going to come down here and work on this. I don't know what part of this key, what it's called, but I'm sure it has a name. I'm going to size down my brush to an 8. And I'm going to pre-wet the steps with some clean water. Again, you don't want it puddly. And I keep putting it here to take the moisture off. You can always go up because I just don't want it puddly. And I'm going to take a little bit of that color, and with the paint down and water up, I'm going to go across the bottom. And then go across the bottom of the second step. But I want it narrow. That's why I size down. And then the bottom of the door. So now we have 2 steps. We're cooking gingerbread.
It's starting to look a little like something, a little like gingerbread, I guess.
Well, I hope so. I hope it's not looking like chocolate chip, because
No. It looks like a house. It looks like a
the wrong
clock.
yeah, the wrong dough formula here. I'm also going to add some across, but you're going to make sure that's dry. Add some across the top and bottom. Too much water on there. When this is dry, we're going to go down on the inside against the peppermint candy canes. So we end up doing a lot of drying in between, but it's okay. I didn't pre-wet that, but that's okay. If you are a decorative painter that knows how to side load, then by all means, just go to town and do your side load. But if you are new and you're not fluent in your side loading, doing this pre-wet I found to be a really awesome way for beginners or people who don't like to side load.
I'm giggling and raising my hand because it only took me about 6 months to learn how to side load by practicing once a week for, in only the projects that needed it. But once I learned how, I'm very proud of the fact, but it's nice to have an alternative way to do it.
Yes.
It's not easy.
And you do a very beautiful job now.
Thank you. It took me a while to figure it out. I don't know why. But you know what it was? It was holding it, pressing it down all the way across. I think I was still trying to put it at an angle. That's what finally did it for me.
Yeah, some people I notice that when they go and float color, if this is a surface, they do this thing and they only put down the part of the hairs that have the paint on it. When you got to think of it like an all-wheel drive vehicle, all the wheels touching the asphalt all at the same time when they're driving, so should the brush hairs. The brush hairs should touch the surface at the same pressure all the time as you're pulling your float. If your brush hairs are not touching the surface with the same amount of pressure all the time, your paint doesn't know what you want it to do. So it makes a line. So you need to have that down. All hairs on the surface all the time, same amount of pressure. Yeah. So now I'm going to do this back-to-back, what they call a back-to-back float, and I'm putting the color on both sides by twisting my brush, flipping my brush over to make sure that the paint is always in the center against that peak. You can see that. So I use the 3/4 inch wash brush because we're going to be doing this with yet another color. There's going to be a second color on here. So we want this one quite wide first and foremost. Go back size down to my 8 and I'm going to pre-wet the door again. And now I'm going to take this color and I'm going to go around the inside of the door. So you kind of have to twist your brush around and come down the other side.
That looks really cute.
And now I'm going to go down the side of the steps. We don't want to forget the edge over here of our key, so pre-wet, pick up some paint, and go down the inside of that. So like I said, now we're going to do a second color. That was what we call our first shading. Now we're going to do a second shading because this is baked about 20 minutes. Now we want to bake it for, well, actually cookies are what? Cookies are like what, 10 minutes? Okay, this is about at the 5 or 7 minute time frame. We want to bake it a little bit more because it's soft and chewy in the middle, a little doughy. So we're going to bake it a little bit more, and we're going to bake it to a light cinnamon stage on the outside edges.
I'm so glad because I like them a little crispy. Plus, they last longer if you're going to paint them.
Right. So I'm going to size down from the 3/4 to a number 12 flat. I'm going to start from the beginning, pre-wet. Not so that it's drippy, like if you lift it up, it won't drip off, it's just moist. Make sure it's all dry before you do that. I'm gonna, on the corner of my brush, pick up some of that light cinnamon and start in, but do not cover all of your first color. So everything we just did, we're gonna do it again, only we're covering less area.
Cindy, for our friend Sandy who just joined us and anybody else who's watching, I don't know if you told the crowd where these come from and how you get these surfaces to begin with.
You can go to cindyharrisonart.com, and in the marketplace, I sell kits, and you can get the ornament kit, the 2017 Christmas Club ornament kit.
Yeah, so then you get all the surfaces that we're painting for the kit to make the 2017 ornaments that will be later in Cindy's book with all the instructions, so we can make them again and again. And also we have last year's book, so it has all the ones that we made last year. But also, if you didn't get the ornament collection and you want to join us last minute, or you're watching it, and you can still order them, or you can just find something similar and paint along, or paint just on a canvas this pictures. I mean, the way she's showing it to you can be adjusted. And of course, Cindy is available for private classes as well.
But yes, the classroom, I will show 2 ornaments. So I'm showing this one now, and at the end, after we're done painting this one, I'll show you how to paint that one. And at the end, I give you a password so that you can watch the exclusive. You can be in the club and you get the password to the exclusive club replays, which you get to see the whole replay. If you're just watching it and you found Paint with Heart on your own and you're just watching the replays, you'll only get to see this ornament. You won't get to see the other one. Okay, pre-wet. I'm going to stay with the 8, but I'm going to take less paint. Put that across the bottom. Remember, paint down, water up. And we're going to go around the inside of the door. So now I think it's ready to come out of the oven. The only thing I'm thinking of is this is a little too white for me. So I am going to go back to pre-wet this and pick up a little bit of that first shading color, which is the honey brown. And I'm going to go up the inside just to darken that a little bit. Okay, that makes me feel better. Not that that's what it's all about, but if you feel good about it, and that's the one thing I find with painting, is it does make me feel good. It's very therapeutic for me. And when you're done and you look at a finished product, you're like, oh my goodness, I did that. This is so awesome. And you feel good about yourself. So it's a self-esteem booster as well. Now I'm ready to move on away from the gingerbread and on to the other elements. First off, we have to take some Snow White, and we're going to paint the white areas. So everywhere where there's a candy cane or the ribbon candy, or these are called, what are they called? Good, not Good and Plenty. Mike and Ike's. These are actually supposed to be Mike and Ike's. We're going to paint them all with this white. The other thing you want to do is also these candies on the roof. If you've got that drawing, you can transfer those candies on there. I put a peppermint circle in the middle of this one, but I decided not to paint that in there because there's a hole there. And I said, I'm just not going to mess with that. So I redesigned this painting as I went along. So if you want, you can freehand your candies, or you can trace on that drawing. So with the white, we're going to now base coat, and for that I'm going to use my 4 round. So pretty much this is what being in a classroom is like. Again, if I ever get too far beyond or you missed what I said, you can always unmute yourself and ask me to repeat. I am not offended. That's why I'm here, because I want you to find as much enjoyment in painting as I do. and Melissa does. So please feel free to ask us questions. What?
Yes, and I'm here. I'm sorry I side big because I was listening to you, but I was also doing a live video on Instagram, and everybody was loving what you're doing. I was showing them, and they were so impressed. So, you know, everybody just loves painting. Everybody loves what you're doing. And if anybody has any questions here about how to show their video or hear things or write in the comments, I can help. I know I look like I was talking and enjoying myself, but really I'm trying to teach people how to join us because it's been so rewarding and fun. I want everybody to know how.
Yeah, that's our goal. My goal was from the beginning of March last year was to teach the world to paint one brush stroke at a time. And so that's what I'm aiming to do. So if you have any friends, even if you don't paint, but you were curious and you're stopping by today, and by the way, thank you so much for stopping by today. And but if you have a friend who'd like to paint, you want to paint with your friend, maybe you can have a painting party in your home and invite a friend over and sit down and paint one of these projects together.
You're not comfortable being on screen, we're fine with that. You can be, you know, keep your video off, or if you simply don't know how to use your video or your camera, you don't have a video camera on your laptop or your computer that you're using, you can see us, but we can't see you, that's okay. But what helps is, like Ophelia, we can see her, and with, hi Ophelia, she can hear us. And what's great is that she can hold up what she's doing, and then Cindy can give her some more instruction. That's what makes it a class. That's what's really great about it. She can ask questions, say, am I doing this right? And she'll stop and Cindy will give us, I'm using her as an example, but usually it's me. I'll hold what I'm doing, and Cindy will say, okay, maybe you should do this, or you can add that. And it really helps. And so by the end of the day, or at the end of the class, we've caught up with what Cindy's beautiful image looks like. It's pretty cool. So it's just like being in a workshop.
Yep. But you never have to leave your home. You can wear your pajamas. Nobody cares. There's no judgment zone.
Yep.
When it comes to looks. And as long as you're enjoying yourself and making new friends, because I never would have met Ophelia or Melissa if it hadn't have been for the computer.
Right.
So they've both enriched my lives tremendously. So I am very blessed to have made these new friends, and there are other friends who couldn't be here today, and they had texted me before class. It happens, and we get that, but you know, we become family. That to me is like, yes, this is therapy for me, but I think family is important, and having that family is nice too.
Yeah, and even though I do a lot of video and social media throughout the week for other shows, because I get to do the painting and the art stuff, this is like my fun day. I call it Sunday Fun Day because it's like my self-care. It's my time off. It's my fun thing I look forward to all week long. It's the creative time that I get to do. And so it doesn't feel like work for me. It's just, it's incredible. It's a lot of fun. So I still do the behind the scenes and the technical part, which I'm still thinking, okay, does anybody need to know how to use Zoom in here that would like to come back next week, so you know how to make your camera work, or do the comments. If you wanted to ask a question, do you know that you could type, I have a question in the side, and make it come up so that I could see it without actually talking, which I just wrote, I have questions in the chat. And if you can see that, or if you know how to do that, if you don't, you can, how to communicate that, you can actually, I think there's a place where you can raise your hand. So there's lots of ways to communicate here on this platform. And, you know, if you just feel like watching right now, or it's too much to ask questions, that's okay. If you later want to, we all know that you found us through Facebook today. So if you want to send a message to Cindy through Facebook or myself, you can send a message and say, well, I tried, but that was too hard, or I just want to watch. That's fine. Or don't tell us anything. Let's just leave us in the dark and make us wonder. That's fine too. We're
Well,
used to
and
it.
again, I was going to say, you mentioned YouTube before. So if you go to YouTube and you're a YouTube watcher, please, 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 please click like and on the video if you liked it, or if you don't like it, either way, click something and also comment, because it will help with the algorithms, and Melissa can explain more about that to you than I can.
Sure. Okay. So if you're watching on YouTube, what we're trying to do is get more people to see the YouTube videos that we have there now. But YouTube only shows the general public videos that other people like. It's really strange, and it's hard to explain. So what we're asking people to do is to go watch our videos, and even though they're long and you may not be able to sit and watch the whole thing, of course if you're actually painting you would, but if you have time, just click on it and let it play the whole time, all the way through to the end. That helps the computer program that runs YouTube understand that people are interested in seeing that one, and then that will put it in front of more people who are interested in painting. So if you do watch videos, you might watch a cat video one time and you'll notice that it starts suggesting other cat videos to you. That's how it works. So if somebody else watches a painting video or instruction video, and at the end it starts to recommend one, we want to be recommended, but it's never going to happen if nobody watches us to begin with. So we need you to watch us.
Yep. So I'm painting, the white is a transparent color, which means it's a very thin color. So you need to put many coats of this paint on here for it to cover. So I'm going to paint, I forgot this candy right here. This is that fruit slice. You see those, Melissa, up at the holiday?
You know what? That fruit slice candy is Lito's favorite, the orange ones.
The orange one.
The orange slices. They almost look like real orange slices, but covered with sugar. Those are one of his favorite candies.
Okay, so now around our door, we have some white frosting. So we can go and I'm going to take a 10-aught liner. So it's a lot finer line than the round is. And I'm going to pick up some of that white on there. And if you hold your brush at a 90-degree angle to the surface, so 90 degrees to the surface, not lying down like that, but straight up, you can draw, and I'm going to go sideways here. You can draw a line of this frosting around the outside of your door. And then I'm going to draw the window on. And I was going to make that a fruit wedge, and then I decided, no, because we have a fruit wedge up there, so we don't need another one. And I'm going to do that scroll. And it is so yummy, I want to eat it. And it's not going to be perfect, and I know this, and it's okay, because nothing you do by hand is going to be perfect every single time. I can never do the same thing the same way twice. But that's what makes it that much more special, unique. Now you can use the number, and this would be a number 2 flat, which would be what I used for the candy canes, which I'm going to stripe with Santa Red. I wet my brush first, but I'm taking all the water out, and then I'm going to pick up some of that red, and I'm going to start on a diagonal, and I'm going to paint flat against that line, but bring it down on the diagonal. So then I will do it again. I will load my brush in the puddle, come over here, start flat against that outside line, but draw the paintbrush on a diagonal.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute, Cindy.
I'm just drawing them on a diagonal. You can draw them more or less. Okay, I'm going to do the other side. And I have them going in the same direction. So if you want to do them going in a different direction, feel free to go ahead and put them in a different direction. So I'm going to start here on the edge and go flat on the edge and go flat. Now, if you get a little piece, not that you can see it, but it's always nice to know that you can correct things if you did something you didn't like. I had a little extra red hair that I didn't like, so I'm going to take my clean, wet brush and just rub over it to get rid of it. And it goes away. Now I'm going to take another. Now this one's tricky because I got to go flat against the roof, but I need to get flat against the house. So I'm going to have to like twist my brush hairs. So I'm going to start flat against the house and bring it up to the roof line and then push my hair sideways so that it will be flat against the roof. So that's the candy cane stripe. The ribbon candy is going to be done with carousel pink. And we're just going to, again, if you need to draw it on there, go right ahead. You can draw it on there with your transfer paper, tracing paper. And I'm going to take my 10-aught liner again, and I'm going to pick up some of that pink. Straight up, 90-degree angle, and I'm going to go curvy, 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 curvy. So I start, and I'm going to bring it up, touch the edge, come down, bring it back up, touch the middle, come to the edge, and that's all I'm doing, is doing this back and forth, making sure that I'm always touching the outside edges as well as the thick parts are touching each other. 90-degree angle, thick part touches, edge touches. Thick part touches, edge touches. That makes sense. I don't always know. I forgot about this guy over here. You might want to take your little brush and put your little doorknob in. Around doorknob. I'm going to move back up here while that's drying. And those center, I don't know, again, I bought this container of candy. And I thought, because it's old-fashioned hard candies, right? Well, all it has is squares and rounds and whatever, and you've got your peppermint twisty thing, but the rest are just, you know, blah. I thought it was going to have that candy that had the flower in the middle. I wanted the candies with the flowers in the middle. If you can see this, what I did.
Yes, that was my favorite. It's so pretty. I used to have earrings that looked like that, remember?
Yeah. So basically they make this long tube and they cut it and you have these little pieces of candy. So that's what I wanted, but I don't know if they make them anymore. So for what I'm going to do is go back to my, well, I can use the liner brush and take that pink and place a 5-petal flower in there. If you want to place a 5-petal flower, don't go all the way to the outside edge because we're going to put green on the outside edge. But I'm putting this 5-petal flower in here on each one, and this is done with the carousel pink. Okay, I'm going to go back. These should be dry by now. And I want to shade them. So I'm going to do that with Payne's Gray. I'm going to go back to my number 12 flat. And like we did before with clean water, you can pre-wet. You're going to go on the inside and underneath the roof line. Pick up this color on the corner, tap it out. Let's go against the roof line first. Just on the candy cane right now. And I'm going to go down to, if this is dry, shade across the top, the top and bottom. Make sure it's dry first. I want to blow dry that quickly. And I'm going to go down the inside edges. Pre-wet. Pick up on the corner of the brush. Paint's going to be toward the inside edge. I always like to start right on that edge and work it down. If it gets too wide, again, I take the clean brush. I can wipe off excess from this side that I don't want. If I straighten out my brush, I can bring that up. Hard to see? Okay. Let's go over here. See it now? So I'll do the same on the other side. The highlight on this is if they're still wet, you can take your round brush. And if not, you can wet it a little bit, make sure it's dry first. And then you can take your round brush with the white and kind of go down left and right of center. If you have a mop brush, just mop it out. And that makes it look rounded. I'm going to move on to the green areas, and I'm going to do that with mistletoe. And if we take a little of that mistletoe, I'm going to go with my number 10 liner, 90-degree angle, and go around the outside edge of your circle candy. And do that with the other one. Now on these two that are green, first I took the round brush and mixed some of the white. I picked up some of the white and mixed that with some of the green to make it a lighter minty green color. And I went and washed that color over. If you want to just go in the areas and the corners and leave the stripe white in the middle, you can do that. But it's just easier to put it all on there. With that same color, you're going to base coat this bottom, a little bit of white, bottom, is it Mike and Ike? This here is supposed to be a non-peril. So I based
That I like.
that with bittersweet chocolate. Isn't that fitting? And use the biggest brush for the area that you can, that you're comfortable with. And decorating gingerbread houses can be quite fun, I find. So this is the dark chocolate. I didn't put a lot of detail in here because I feel, you know what, you're just going to cover it with the white dots. Let's go back up here. If these are dry, we're going to put that white stripe in the middle. You can use your number 2 flat and put that white stripe in the middle. It has a darker green stripe on the outside of the white. Go into your straight mistletoe, put a dark line on either side. And if you want to add more dark around your candy here, you can. And then there's a yellow one. So we're going to go ahead and now introduce the yellow, and it's going to be a bright yellow. And my liner brush. And I'm going to put yellow right down the center, not covering all of the white. I don't want to cover all the white. And this guy here, base coat him with the Snow White plus bright yellow. And this Mike and Ike down here. The Mike and Ike down here. Well, while this is dry, we'll put a second coat of bittersweet. And now that the green is dry down here, take your number 8 flat. You can pre-wet. On the corner of your brush, you pick up that mistletoe, and we're going to go across the bottom. So can you see that? It's darker. Take your liner brush, your round brush, and some white, and while it's still wet, I'm going to hit just above center on that. Now I'm going to introduce the dark pink. That's Royal Fuchsia. And this color is going to give us just a little shading with the liner brush. We're going to go between where the two ribbon candy meet, underneath all of the horizontal lines of ribbon candy. I don't go up the sides, just between them, following that ribbon. On the highlight with that liner brush, same liner brush, I go on the vertical points. Almost looks yummy enough to eat, huh? I'm going to go up and work on the yellow. And I'm going to take my round brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white edge here on the inside, not covering all of the what I just put on, just a little one. And I'm going to also take my 10-aught liner brush and add segments. Not that you're going to see them, but they're there just in case. There we go. See that?
Delightful. It's so cute.
It's gonna get cuter.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
We're gonna.
I want to eat it though. Although I know what it tastes like, probably. No, I don't think so.
It's probably gross, yeah.
Yeah, and even if it was sugar, it'd be gross to me because I don't eat sugar anymore.
Lots of fiber. So I'm gonna do bright orange, introduce bright orange, and my liner brush, and I take some of that bright orange, and I'm gonna go around the outside of my lemon wedge. Again, orange is kind of a see-through color, so it kind of blends in with the yellow. And I'm going to base coat this gumdrop with this orange. And I could have used my big round brush, but I had this one in my hand. Base that in. With our 8 flat, pre-wet the yellow Mike and Ike, and on the side, on the corner of your brush, bring across some of that orange, and then on the round with the white, while it's still wet, bring a white line across the center. We are almost getting to the done part. Okay. I am going to then come up here. While those are drying, introduce the next color, grape juice, and base coat in this gumdrop. That one you're going to use a little less paint because they're that see-through jelly type stuff, so you don't want it too solid. And this Mike and Ike. Okay. The cookie pan I did with zinc. Base coat that with zinc. If you don't have zinc, just mix some gray and black together to make a nice dark gray value.
I have to say, that is so clever, Cindy, that you would think to put that on a cookie pan, not just hovering cookies and for no reason. You always think through what makes sense.
I try.
You know, you do such a good job of that when it comes to shading or which lighting and which direction something is. It's really, really brilliant. You're so wonderful.
Thank you, Melissa.
It's true.
That's why I love sharing with people. Although I think I'm always the last to know something. But sometimes...
It's because you spend a lot of time painting in the studio.
Sometimes it's nice to hear something more than one way or more than one time, because I know some teachers have told me things that I'm like, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it. And all of a sudden, one teacher will say it in a different way, and I'm like, the light bulb goes off, literally, like, oh, that's what she meant, and that's why that teacher told me to do this, this, and this, and this. And it's like, then it makes sense. I don't know. But sometimes you just need to be told in different ways. Oops. I'm going to add a little bit of a touch of a dot highlight up here on my doorknob. And on those sugar flour candies, if you take your liner brush and some white, you can pre-wet and add a stroke of this white. You can do it on this around the flower petals, or you can do it on the outside, the green area. I like to do it around the probably like 11 to 3 o'clock or 11 to 2. Some white there, and then you can hit some white there. If you want, I didn't add one on these, but if you want to add one on the square, you could do the same thing. Kind of, I'm going to go across the center. And I can mop it out. The purple, if you put it on thin, You can add just a side load of that purple. You can pre-wet this with fresh, clean water. Pick up on the corner the same color and put it across the bottom. If it doesn't show up, add a little bit of Payne's Gray to your paintbrush. And that will deepen that color for you. I'm going to do the same up here. I'm going to go from 12 o'clock down to the flat bottom. And I'll do the same on the orange one. Just pre-wet, pick up some orange, and this time I'm going to go on the right side. I need to hit that with, on the purple, oh, we forgot to put the line of white while it was still wet. I hope it's still wet. If not, tap it. So our Mike and Ikes are done. We've got our non-perils and our cookie people here, and now we've got these. I'm going to go across the bottom of each gumdrop with a shade. And so you can, as long as they're dry, you can pre-wet, pick up base, in this case, base plus Payne's Gray if you need to, and go across the bottom. I like tapping it out to soften it. On the orange one, you can either go with, we're going to go with orange first, but that doesn't show up very much. Orange plus a touch of the Santa red. So Santa red, it's a little too much. Santa, let's work that out. I didn't pre-wet, that's why it's sticking. So pre-wet, and work that Santa out a little bit here. Okay, so let's see how this looks up close. So you see how the Santa red sticks out more and the Payne's Gray also. There's our Mike and Ike's and our ribbon candy. Now I'm going to do a little bit of that orange, pre-wet this orange, this lemon segment here. And I'm going to do a little bit of that orange on the inside of the white area, or the light yellow area. And if you want to tip it, when I even say don't do it, but you can do it this time because I think that the orange segments need to show up better. Or the lemon segment, I should say. See how that shows up better? Okay.
Yeah, show that again, Cindy. That really pops. Yeah. Look at that. All those tiny little details, they sure make a difference.
So I can't wait to finish the gumdrops. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my number 4 and a little bit of white. And what I do is I pounce it out so that all the hairs on the brush have some color in it. And then I take a piece of dry paper towel and wipe it off on a piece of dry paper towel. And I'm gonna kind of pounce in the center. Oh, obviously I took too much off. Let's try again. Pounce in the center, scratching some of that white highlight on my gumdrops. Also, I'm going to go down the center of my cookie sheet and I'm going to scrub some of that color in a circular motion in my non-peril. So center of the cookie sheet, non-peril, and gumdrops. If you wanted to, if you didn't do it, you want to put some of this, scrub this color everywhere else, it's not a bad idea. Wash it out. That fuchsia pink that we had, the dark pink, if you want, you can go ahead and add a dot of that to the center of the flower. I don't think it makes or breaks it. We need to do our gingerbread people. I'm going to trace those on. Start with the camel. I'm using my round brush.
It's so cute.
So just like we did for the major part of the gingerbread, we're going to do that on this little guy. So you start with the honey brown and darken his extremities, if you will, around the outside edges with the honey brown. Not make his whole head dark, but so I'm just gonna, a little bit of moisture helps, really, it does. It's not overrated at all. So I'm gonna now take a little bit of the light cinnamon and cook my cookies to the fullest. Now there's I don't, do you have Little Debbie's out in LA, Melissa?
Yes, yes, we do. We have Little Debbie.
You know the
little cakes, Little Debbie's cakes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do they have gingerbread cookies at this time of year?
You know, I don't shop.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sure they do. I haven't been in a grocery store.
They have gingerbread cookies here, and they're like the iced oatmeals. They're iced molasses or like iced gingerbread cookies.
I love those. Yes.
So although this, I put icing on the outside of this. I don't know if we can see this. Let me put this up close. I put the icing on the outside of this guy, cuffs and socks and stuff. But if you wanted to, there's no reason why you couldn't just put icing and tap it over the whole thing. So we can go like this and make it like an iced, like a little Debbie cake. And do the icing.
So adorable.
On the whole thing. Obviously, we're not covering all of him. We're just icing him. Looks kind of weird, but
that's what they look like.
That's what they look like.
That's what they look like. It gives it depth, kind of three-dimensional.
Yep.
And it's making my mouth water.
I'm going to go up to The non-peril, basically you take your stylus, tootie dot, or whatever you want to call it, and you dot in the white paint, and then you add the dots to your piece. You can do that off camera. Then the last thing, typically I would varnish this first, and then I would do the step, but I want to show you the step, so we're going to do it now. I'm going to take some media, DecoArt Media liquid glass. If you don't have that, but you have glossy accents from Ranger, same product. I'm going to open that up and put some of that over my gumdrop. And you want to make sure you just get it on the gumdrop, not everywhere else. And the your lemon or orange, whatever segment, fruit segment this is in your world. And this is a pretty, you know, good medium to heavy bodied product. So you can put it on there and it will stay put where you put it. Then what I do is take some glitter, like diamond dust, and I put a piece of paper. Find a piece of paper here. Under it. And I'm going to sprinkle it with some of this, like cut glass shards. And then let it sit for a second if you need to knock some off. And then you've got it all nice and glistening like sugar.
Ooh, that's so cute, Cindy. Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And can you imagine hanging on a tree with lights? That's going to really light up.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
So that's it for that. And now I want to do the little guy. We call him Gingy. Okay. So on this one, same as we did on the gingerbread, we're going to shade with 2 colors around the outside edge. We're going to paint the candy area white, as well as the Mike and Ike and the ribbon candy area. So go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go and quickly do my shading. I'll use my number 3/4 inch wash. That's what I'll use. You can pre-wet. Remember, pre-wet makes it easier for the paint color to float around. Pick up some of the honey brown, and I'm going to start to bring that around. I'd like it relatively wide. Wipe off that area with the white wet part of your brush. Wash your brush out, keep that straight. Okay. I'm just going to keep bringing this around till it meets up with the other side. You can wet, dry that and then wet it again, and we're going to put another coat on there. There's a piece that comes down, goes underneath the candy. I'm not going to worry about that piece right now. I'm just going to go down. Comes across on top of the Mike and Ike, and then it'll come down on the side of the ribbon candy. While that's drying, pick up my round brush, and I'm going to start to base in with white. While that's white's drying, I'm going to go and continue on. This guy here, I'm going to go a little wider on my side load of the honey brown. So we have a second application in a little further towards the middle. The water end of my brush is still in the center. I'm also going to bring it up the side here. Because my brush is wide, I want to make sure I dry it first and then I'll put on the other side. And for that, I can even go down to my 12. Also too, we're going to go on the sides of this area. There is a little area down here I didn't do, and that's across the top and bottom. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and bake the cookie all the way by adding, with our number 12 flat, the light cinnamon. Let's dry that. Repeat in the areas that you didn't do the first time. So that's across the top, bottom, and down the sides. Okay. Now, when this is dry, we're going to transfer on our detail. So that's all of the face, the peppermint if you need to, the ribbon candy if you need to. So I'm going to paint his eyes white. It's the Snow White here. And my nose is going to be Santa Red. You can do it round like a cinnamon drop, or you can do it oval like red frosting. I like to think of it as a cinnamon drop. You could even make it a heart if you wanted to.
Oh, that would be cute because it's paint with heart.
Yeah. I wanted to show you on the peppermint candy, a trick. I want to lighten my lines. Okay. So think of a peppermint candy. I can do this. Think of a peppermint candy. Here's the peppermint. Here's the center of the peppermint. Think of the letter S. So you start there, you come over, and you end over here. You can start here, come over to the center, and end over here. It's just a bunch of letters of S. That's all I'm doing. So they're not quite even, but that's what it is a bunch of S's. So it's all depending on how many you want to put in here that make that peppermint candy. I'm going to do some Santa Red. I'm using my liner brush, and I'm going to cut it in half and do it again. Start flattening my brush out. When I come around to the center, I lift up my brush so it comes to a peak. And then from that, then I start flattening it out again and end flat. See how that works? I like adding the mistletoe. That one I stay up on 90-degree angle, and I do it in the center of the red. And you can just pull out from the middle and not have to worry about the S's. There you have that. The eyes, pre-wet your eye. Pick up some of that Payne's Gray. Tap that out. You don't want a lot of it. And we're going to go and do the top area. If that's too much Payne's Gray, just tap it out. Wipe some off on your paper towel before you go do the next eye. We're going to go over here. I put that on, and now I'm going to take my 4 round and put in the black pupils. And that is going to be with lamp black. And again, this one I had his eyes going to the left, but if you want to do the eyes going to the right, you can do that. I left some white at the top and the bottom. I outlined the eye with the black as well. So if you need to mix a little bit of moisture, water with your paint to help that line go around your eye. Using my 10-aught liner. And now I'm going to do little eyelashes. And those I usually pull off from where the pupils, where the pupil or iris is in this case. And I'm going to pull and just flick off. I do it on both sides. Make sure that your eyes are dry. And I'm going to pre-wet my candy and his eyes. Going to take my round brush and I'm going to pick up some white, and on the candy I'm going to go around from about 11 o'clock to about 5 or 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then hit it with my mop brush. And I'm also going to take my 8 flat while the eyes are still wet on the corner of my brush, a little bit of that white, and do a little C-stroke. And again, if it gets a little out of hand, like that's a little bright, you tap it down.
Cindy.
Yes.
The audience is really happy to know, the people in the comments here, I'm not pointing anybody out in particular, but we're glad to know that you mess up also. You are human. Yes.
That I am. That I am.
It is. Cindy's just, it's great that she does it along with us and not just, you know, it's not so step by step. It's definitely a group project. But
you know,
I love you.
Being perfect is just too much to live up to. Okay, so I'm going to pre-wet the nose with a little bit of Payne's Gray. I'm going to put some C-stroke at the bottom of the nose. And I'm going to add a little bit of white to the top of the nose. Not too much white. Just tap that out.
A couple of things I want to make sure we say. I know you're finishing this up. But
adding a dot. Go ahead.
Well, the word for the week that's coming up is energize. And if you are interested in where the word from the week comes from, that's the daily affirmation cards, which are available on my website at msmeliz.com.
I want to shade around his face details, so I'm going to pre-wet. Make sure you're dry. Pre-wet around that lines that you made with the graphite. And we're going to pick up first some honey brown. And I'm going to go under his eyes, under his nose, under his mouth. So under the eye, like that. Too much, just tap it out with your finger under his nose and under the mouth. If you want to go also in some of these areas to the left of the part that is on the light part, obviously this is not gonna, the shade's not gonna show up if you do it on the shaded area, duh. So you'll have to go with a darker color. And that could be your light cinnamon. So you can put some of that in there. Okay, so you want to touch up and do the second shade underneath his parts, you can do that. Oh, and don't forget the eyebrows. There's going to be a little bit under his eyebrow. There we go. Okay.
I think it's just adorable, Cindy.
This guy, all the icing you can do with a liner brush in white if you want, but I do it with this Americana Writer, acrylic dimensional writer paint, and from Deco Art. So basically what you're doing is it has a fine tip.
Can you show that again in the screen because he didn't see the label? Okay, there you go. Writer. Oh, neat. Okay, thanks.
So it has a fine tip. You're welcome.
Oh.
And what I do there, start on the side, obviously. Start on the side so you can pull and find out where it's at in your, and then you start to write your icing. You want to make sure where it is before you go and put a lot of pressure because you don't want it squirting out. But you know what? If it does, you just wipe it off and start over. And this will dry a little bit raised. It's not going to be as raised as a puffy paint or real icing, but I pull from outside in because I leave a narrower tip on the inside.
That is so cute. For a bonus ornament, man, it's just adorable.
Thank you.
It's really, really cute.
Wait for you to paint yours.
I know. I might have to do it tonight, depending on what the boys are doing.
So that's that. The only thing left to do is shading around here in the candy. And just like you shaded around the face, you're going to shade around the candy, but this you're going to use Payne's Gray and your number 12 flat. So pre-wet that. Pick up some of that Payne's Gray and you just go around the outer edge like you did on his face. And we already know how to do the Mike and Ike and the ribbon candy. So I don't need to show you that again. Take this, tap that out. If you lose your highlight, all you gotta do, take your liner brush while it's still wet and go back in and just do a little bit of a stroke and you got your highlight. The blue on this one's a little darker, so we can kind of tap that out. I use my fingers a lot. I don't like getting dirty, but I do use them. So
there's only a solution to that.
Shush. Should we see if anybody wants to show us
Yes. Let's see, Ophelia.
So sweet.
Oh, so cute.
The
Very
cheeks.
cute.
So what I did, obviously I would do that before you put the dimensional paint on it, but I would use this big number 8 and some Santa red on a dry piece of paper towel, wipe off most, and then go in and scratch some of that highlight in. Again, I can't do it because I got the white there, but
oh, that looks cute.
But I would put that in there before I put the white on.
A lot longer.
Yep, you go say goodbye.
Okay, well, my heart feels nice and warm and full of spirit and grace, and that was because I got to spend this time with you, Cindy, and all of you. Thank you so much to our new friends who joined us today, and thank you for being with us here, Pat and Ophelia, Cheryl, Pat, I don't know, everybody else. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Paint with Heart. Thank you, Cindy, for a wonderful, wonderful project and bonus project, too. So cute.
And thank you. Ooh, I forgot my hat. This is what we do at Christmas time. We wear a different Christmas hat every week.
Yes, we like our hats.
So, thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Ophelia, Pat, Cheryl. Everybody, Peg, everybody for being here today.
I said Peggy, that was who I forgot to say.
and we hope that you join us again. And whether it's just to hang out with us or it's actually to paint with us, because that's what we're all about here at Paint with Heart. We want you to paint with us and feel the love. Until next week or until 2 weeks from now, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy every minute that you have. Every minute is precious. And until then, remember to always paint with heart. Good night, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.